meeting to order. Do a roll call.
Present this evening, Monday, October 16th, 2023, are Mayor C. Holland Purdue III and Vice Mayor Billy W. Stockton. Council members A. Ralph Casey, David K. Clements, J. Tyler Lee, Benjamin K. Mullins, and Mark H. Newbill. Also participating this evening are staff members as noted.
Do the pledge. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have the approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have some special items tonight. First, we'll start with the Breast Cancer Awareness Month proclamation, which I'll read. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas breast cancer is the second most common cancer in women after skin cancer. And whereas breast cancer is about 100 times more common in women than men, 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with the disease, and diagnoses will increase as patients get older. And whereas an estimated 2,800 men in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year, and more than 500 will die from the disease. And whereas doctors estimate that about 5 to 10% of breast cancers are hereditary, and individuals whose family history puts them at an increased risk for breast cancer should discuss with their doctor or qualified health professional the proper prevention and early diagnosis strategies. And whereas since early diagnosis strategies have been introduced, the 5-year survival rate for a breast cancer patient has greatly increased, now at almost 90%. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month serves as an opportunity to bring awareness of the disease and to encourage individuals to have a plan to detect the disease in its early stages. And whereas it is vital that those affected by breast cancer have access to quality, affordable care, and that research of all forms of breast cancer continues to be vigorously supported. Now, therefore, I, C. Holland Purdue III, Mayor of the Town of Rocky Mount, on behalf of the Town Council of Rocky Mount, do hereby proclaim October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the Town of Rocky Mount and call this observance to the attention of all citizens. Given under this hand, this 16th day of October 2023. Now we have the proclamation commending the United Way of Roanoke Valley on its 100th anniversary. Whereas the United Way of Roanoke Valley, UWRV, was founded as the community fund in 1924, uniting business and community leaders who understood that a thriving economy is intrinsically linked to the well-being of its citizens. And whereas for a century, our community has stood shoulder to shoulder with the UWRV, volunteering time, donating generously, and supporting its mission to pool resources, fund local initiatives, and spearhead collaborative efforts that address vital issues such as education, health, financial stability, and basic needs. And whereas through its impactful history, the United Way has successfully generated over $232 million funding programs and partnerships that have enriched the lives of residents across the counties of Botetourt, Craig, Roanoke, and Franklin. And whereas the United Way has been an invaluable partner to us, synergizing with nonprofits, local governments, businesses, and educational institutions to enact positive change in individuals' lives, fortify families, rejuvenate neighborhoods, elevate marginalized communities, and ensure equitable opportunities for all. And whereas the United Way has been a trailblazer in the health and human services sector, introducing initiative metrics, fostering collective impact, facilitating data sharing, and advocating systematic change. And whereas countless professionals and community volunteers have honored their leadership skills and deepened their understanding of community needs through their engagement with United Way, participating in workplace campaigns, committees, and task force aimed at advancing the organization's mission. And whereas the United Way of Roanoke Valley has shown unwavering commitment to uplifting impoverished households and those classified as ALICE, asset limited, income constrained, employed, guiding approximately 4,445 families towards self-sufficiency in the past 5 years, and aiming to assist 10,000 families by 2030. And whereas UWRV is marking its centennial anniversary from October 23 to October 2024 with the campaign A Century of Impact, United for a Stronger Future, a seminal moment for the organization to envision its future impact and set its course for the next century. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the town of Rocky Mount, do hereby extend our heartfelt recognition to the United Way of the Roanoke Valley on its 100th anniversary. We salute its endearing commitment to enhancing lives, fostering community cohesion, and creating a legacy of the positive change that benefits us all. Given under my hand the 16th day of October, 2023. All right, that's a lot to read. Next, Mr. Moore will recognize Town Planner Jessica Engel for being named 2023 Administrator of the Year by the Virginia Association of Zoning Officials.
And while Mark's getting set up, you might notice Jessica Engel is probably a name you haven't heard her called before. Jessica got married over the weekend, so her name changed.
For the record, Mr. Mayor, that's what I was congratulating. I didn't want to steal the thunder.
I knew that just a name was.
It's a good problem to have. You got so many things going on that you don't know what they're recognizing you for. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The town of Rocky Mount is home to the 2023 VAZO Administrator of the Year, Miss Jessica Engel, as Robert mentioned just a minute ago. I nominated her over the summer. She's very deserving. We have had a lot of projects in community development, specifically planning and zoning. Jessica is one of those employees, like a lot of our employees, that wear a lot of hats. In small towns, you wear a lot of hats, and so anything community development wise, whether it's planning and zoning related or not, Jessica is always a willing and able team player. So I was glad and thrilled to nominate her for the state award. It was awarded in September in Virginia Beach at their Virginia Association of Zoning Officials conference, and so we wanted to recognize her. We have her award going around that you all have seen. We are thrilled to have Jessica on our team. She does a great job for the town, and we're excited that she was able to win this award. It's a very deserving award, so we're proud of her and thank her for her dedication.
Next, we are going to the hearing of citizens, and we have no one signed up. So we will move to new business. We'll move to the North Main Street Revitalization Planning Grant. Mr. Wood will present.
Council, we've talked about this one a little bit in the past. When we first got the award, we had some conversations about it, and then we had a series of community meetings in the kind of the implementation or starting phase. And if y'all remember the way the grant works, we got, Daniel, was it 5,000, I think, to do the first phase? For the initial activities, we had $5,000. We went through that phase, then we had to turn in the results from that phase, and then the state released the rest of the money for the project. Altogether, it's a $50,000 grant. So for the next phase, they allow us to hire a planning consultant, somebody who does this kind of work for a living, so that we can come up with a good revitalization plan for North Main. It's a project that, my understanding, has been talked about for a number of years, quite a while, even before I got here. And so it's an important one. I think everyone sees the benefit that could take place over there and the improvements that could be made in the North Main area, especially with the new hotel coming on board and some other things that we know are coming in the near future. So we put out a request for qualifications from consultants. We received two really good responses. One was from Summit Design and Engineering Services. I think their main location is in North Carolina, but they also work here in Virginia. The other one was from Hill Studio, which is an organization that has done quite a bit of work here in the Rocky Mount area. We reviewed their packages that they turned in. We also had interviews with both organizations, and the staff recommendation is that we go with Hill Studio to do this project. I think that I can speak for the staff members that were involved in the interviews. We were very impressed with the preparedness by Hill Studios, and not just the people that are with Hill Studio, but they've brought on essentially subcontractors or other consultants to help do the economic analysis and to help do other parts of the planning process. They seemed like they understood something that was really important to us, which is this is not a regular downtown revitalization plan. It's a corridor that's outside of the downtown. And so we felt like that was important, and they stressed that part. They've done some neighborhood and corridor plans in other places that we felt like gave them really good experience. So that's the staff recommendations that we go with Hill Studio. Daniel, Mark, did I miss anything?
Yeah, they kind of saw into the future and saw that this would likely involve state and federal funds. And so one of those subcontractors had extensive work with VDOT and trying to kind of foresee what issues that would arise with VDOT and kind of a resident expert on those.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. We asked both groups questions about working with VDOT because sometimes on corridor plans like this or on roads like North Main, what planning consultants will like to do is recommend things like traffic calming, or there's different terms for it now, road diets, complete streets, or these different programs where you do things to make the streets work well for not just cars, but also bicyclists and people that are walking and doing different things. And, as you can probably imagine, VDOT and state level Department of Transportation groups sometimes aren't real excited about things like that. And so we asked, how do you deal with that? How do you work with these groups? And one of the consultants that VDOT brought on board is an engineering firm that specializes in transportation. And they were actually the firm that VDOT hired to write the manual in Virginia on alternative uses for roads and alternative layouts for roads. So they're, of course, very familiar because they actually wrote the process. So that was something that impressed us and we thought that would work really well with this project.
So two things on that corridor right there, talking about the transportation needs. I know the West Piedmont Planning District, Ralph and I are on that. Ralph's been there longer than I have, but they have some transportation experts. Joe, I can't think of his last name. Yeah, and he served on the national level as well. So
Yep.
Before we start doing any type of RFPs and everything, we need to get his expertise involved.
Well, and they'll be involved because if just as a reminder for council, Kathleen, what's Kathleen's last? McAvoy, I'm sorry. Kathleen McAvoy with West Piedmont. She's our administrative person that's helping administer the grant. We've contracted with West Piedmont to do that, so she'll have good access to those people.
And she actually set up the interviews that we were part of, and she was a part of those interviews.
Yeah, so she'll be able to make sure, because you're right, we should make sure Joe and some of those other people are involved, and she'll help us do that. So we feel like Hill Studios put together a really good team that seemed to understand what we were trying to get at in that area. And we all feel like at the staff level, I think council agrees that there's a lot of potential on North Main, especially now that we've announced that the hotel's coming, and that's going to help spur some things to happen on that road.
And part of their presentation to us, their interview, they had taken pictures and were already offering opportunities, and these are some things you can do. So kind of visualizing what the possibilities were on North Main. So it'll when this is all done, this will be transformative for that area, definitely.
Great. Any questions for staff? Any motions by council?
I'll make a motion to go with staff recommendation with the Hill.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next, Mr. Wood will present the recognition of the Culture and Economic Development Director, Daniel Bernard, for his work on the 150 Fest, and then we'll have some discussion by council.
To start out, council, let me read 2 email messages that I received almost immediately following the 150 Fest. I've received a lot of feedback from people over the last couple of weeks, but I wanted to share these 2 emails in particular. The first one is from Carl Klein, who I think everyone knows. Gentlemen, I wanted to reach out to you and let you know how much I appreciated the work that you did to make the 150th birthday of Rocky Mount celebration such a success. Wow, what a great event you pulled off. I was only there from 3 to 5 p.m., but immediately witnessed what a great event this was going to be. Reading all of the positive remarks on social media really brings a smile. Kudos to you and your team that made this possible. I haven't seen anything bring the community together like this ever. Carl. And I should have said at the beginning, this was addressed to Mayor Perdue, Daniel Bernard, Mark Moore, and myself. The second one was addressed to myself and the mayor, and it said, Robert, I wanted to take a moment to send you a quick note to thank you and all of your admin staff for the unbelievable event that the 150th anniversary celebration was. In my lifetime, I don't recall many, quite possibly any event that was such a huge hit for all ages. There was so much positive feedback from start to finish coming from participants, and hopefully the great businesses we have in town were able to have a record day. After all of the events in the last few years, our community needed this. I personally think it was way bigger than many realize. Rocky Mount and Franklin County residents are a breed that believes in one another despite occasional differences, and we are stronger as a community thanks to gatherings like 150 Fest. It was a great cause with no alternative agenda, and I sincerely hope you find a way to do it again sooner rather than later. Again, thanks to everyone involved. Sincerely, Brad Basham. And I think everybody knows Brad. He's the assistant fire chief in town. And I've gotten comments like this from lots of people, both the day of the event and since the event. People, all different kinds of people that enjoyed it and said it was, you know, one of the best events that they can recall. I even got some positive feedback from Vice Mayor's wife the other night when I saw her at the Harvester, and she told me that it was one of the best events she's ever been to, and she thought there was probably more people there than she had ever seen at an event in Rocky Mount. So I wanted to share those so that I could get on to the next part of what I was going to say, which is this event would not have happened without Daniel Bernard, and I think everybody knows that, but I just wanted to recognize him. Daniel was constantly working to make this a great event, and it was successful because of his work. And I don't even know everything he did, honestly, but you know, he had to work with all of the vendors that were set up. He had to work with the downtown merchants. He had to get he got the Dora set up so that was part of this event. That was a lot of work on his part. He worked with someone to get all of the bands and the entertainment set up, and there's just, you know, hundreds and thousands of things that had to be done for this event.
He strategically used you and I to do trash.
Yeah, well, that was going to be the next part. I was going to talk about what a great job Mark and I did on the trash, but Daniel really, you know, did a bang up job on this, and it really has been, since I've been here, this has been the event that's gotten more positive feedback, or at least I've received more positive feedback on it than anything else that we've done, and it's something that it was good to celebrate the 150 years that Rocky Mount has been a town, and we all wanted to do that. But we also all knew going into it that it was a way to test out, you know, can we have an event like this, and can we successfully have an event like this? And I think we proved that we can. And so we want to recognize Daniel for that, because it really was a great event, and people were, y'all know, because most of you were there, it was an event that was really well received by the community. And so.
I appreciate the kind words. I did just want to say that there is some additional recognition that's warranted. It takes a lot of work to shut down the streets. It takes a lot of work to clean up after these events, and that's all done by Public Works. So I want to commend Director Brian Schofield and his crew he has working for him. And Chief Young, what percentage of the police department was out during 150 Fest?
Everybody that wasn't assigned to shift.
Right, so the entire police department was out, and Chief Young and Captain Lovern and the lieutenants all put in a ton of work into planning the event. So 150 Fest doesn't happen without the police and public works departments.
And Mark and Robert picking up trash. Yeah. No, it's true that just like when we do all of the other big events, like which we'll have coming up here in the next month or so, coming home to Franklin County Christmas. Public Works and PD make those events happen because there's a lot of work that has to be done to close the streets and to keep everybody safe. And the great thing about this event, and I kept checking in with Chief Young's officers all day long and asking them what they were seeing. And there's always things that can be done better, and some things that we'll look at if we do another event, a big event like this in the future. But there really weren't any major hiccups. And whenever I asked officers how people were doing, they said everybody's having a good time and behaving. So overall, the event went very smoothly in that sense. I know there were some people that were worried about the DORA event and that there was going to be alcohol, but the reality is that with as many people as we had and as much stuff was going on, things went very smoothly, and just very few isolated issues that we had to deal with, but nothing serious.
Council, any comments about 150 Fest?
I've received also a lot of comments, positive comments, but they don't want to wait till another 150 years to get it, so the sooner the better.
Same here.
Yeah, I mean, I had folks from the Lake, Roanoke, even Lynchburg. One person was from Rockingham County near
Yeah.
Harrisonburg. All came and just loved it. So keep up the good work, everybody in the room and up here. So yeah.
Excellent. We were down there in the middle of the day, I guess about 12 o'clock to 3, setting up, telling the vendors where they needed to go. And I was amazed at the sheet that Daniel had prepared for us, showing where they were supposed to set up and where was it on the street and everything else. And we started, what did you call it, Daniel? We started in the back and started filling up from the back, coming to the center. I mean, it was just genius. And so anyway, but worked really well.
I had a lot of people comment about how there were things there for kids to do, so I really appreciate that. Even though the DORA was in effect, we still had the entire kids section. A lot of people really liked that.
And speaking with staff and moving forward with the DORA license, we're going to have a town hall. We've had 3 town halls with businesses throughout the year, and this will be the 4th. It's set for November 16th, and we're just going to try to get businesses and local people here to discuss how we're going to try to utilize DORA moving forward. And so if everybody would mark their calendar, if you can be here, we'd appreciate it. And I think you'll start announcing that tomorrow or the next day. Yeah. Anything else? Any other comments? We do not have a closed meeting this evening, and so that leads us to the adjournment portion. Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion.
Second.
Second? All right. This meeting is, all in favor?
Aye.
This meeting's adjourned.
Like this.